And let's go ahead and slash wave there. And hello everyone, and welcome to the Heldic Hall ModPack Showcase. I want to start off by saying my own little disclaimer. This ModPack will change a ton about your game. If you don't want to change the game, I don't suggest downloading this. I don't actually recommend it unless you're already used to the game. And my recommendation for being used to the game as a threshold is getting to the 4th boss. This is due to the fact that by that time I assume you've already experienced many of the harsh biomes, harder enemies, as well as crafting multiple tiers of gear, foods, and maybe a base or two. I don't know, maybe like 20. I really enjoy Valheim. Its default, and the devs are working as hard as they can right now to improve, fix, and expand the world of Valheim. It's really hard for them. It's, you know, everything's going on in the world as well, and they're also a really small team as is, so we have to give them some slack, guys. I have nothing respect for them, but sadly it seems that a massive army of modders, because that's what everyone is right now. There's a ton of modders on Valheim, which is so cool thanks to the game blowing up, and I think it's even better for the game and the developers themselves and the company, because with all the modders the game just doesn't get dull. But it seems that a massive army of modders can keep up with their bugs and the community needs far better than a small team can, which really sucks. Now, I want to start the showcase. First, let me just say, go to the description to download the mod. And in there, there's going to be a readme, which is going to have all this stuff, because I made like a little script and explanation and stuff like that, as well as linked all of the mods, so you can go check out the mod pages themselves, and you know, all that stuff. You can also go to the config files and change the values yourself. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, there's a readme file in my mod pack that explains a lot of stuff. And it has all the links and everything, like I said. So that'll also allow you to update the client as you see fit, as well as your servers, in case I am being too lazy or just asleep whenever mods come out, because the mods seem to come out sporadically, which is cool because it seems like, you know, the developers are just trying their hardest to bring stuff out. We're gonna look at as many of the features as I can to get into like a line. And then I'm also gonna be looking at them in the order I assume to be best for the showcase. Please be kind, I don't usually do stuff like this. All the values I've changed I consider to aim the game in a direction of balance between consistent progression as well as constant progression, and reducing as many time sinks as possible. There are a lot of things in this game that are just time sinks. One of the major things that I truly believe to be the most important in this is that smelting and stuff like that becomes pretty much automated. I'll talk about that again later as well. First thing I want to show you is a massive mod known as Valheim Plus. Now, I have a text document and I'll go through all of the stuff there. I'll just quickly read off everything, but let me just go ahead and tell you the changes that I've made, because when you download this modpack, you're also going to be downloading my config files, so you're going to have the changes that I've made and some changes that I haven't made, because there are so many things in Valheim Plus. Valheim Plus makes other mods pretty much obsolete. It does, however, overlap with some mods, and it has things, or other mods have things that Valheim Plus doesn't. So there are a couple mods that you may think are redundant, but they aren't, because maybe they have a better usage than Valheim Plus does, or more in-depth usage, or even just more. For instance, Valheim Plus, actually, before I started this, I have a mod that lets me have a character menu. I'll talk about that later as well. Valheim Plus's inventory modular system actually broke this mod, and I like this mod way better than Valheim Plus, or Valheim Plus's version of the mod, or version of inventory changes and stuff like that. This mod adds tons of stuff, like a bunch. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly read off all the changes that I've made. And I have this all written down here, so excuse it if I am monotone. I've increased overall drops by 10%. I've increased overall durability on items by 15%. I've increased the drop chance of things like seeds and iron scrap by 60%. I've made it so you can teleport with metals. Smelters and kilns can now hold more items to allow for more AFK smelting. One more coal is needed for each ingot to balance some stuff out. Because again, for me, it's all about balance. The game itself is awesome. I love the default feel of the game, and I love the difficulty of the game, and the just, you know, there's no holding back. Like, the game beats you while you're down. I love that because I love Dark Souls, But yeah, so I did change for some balance stuff and make things harder and things easier. Well, not really easier, just reduced time that you spend on certain things that, you know, is just useless time. Again, time sinks. Food drains 50% slower. Universally skills come up about 50% faster, and some that were very slow come up 20% faster. Again, this is balance. Some skills for some reason are really fast, and I don't know if that's because of the amount that you use the item or whatever. I don't know if maybe the values are the exact same across the board, but it seems like wood cutting and axes, for some reason those skills don't increase at the same value, even though you would think that if you're using an axe as a weapon, then the axes would be higher than wood cutting, but sometimes that value, wood cutting, is higher than the axes themselves, which is kind of weird, so I don't think there's balance there. Your zoom distance is increased for RTS style viewer, better sense of your surroundings. I like to think of it whenever you're in the boat, because it's even more, it's doubled. It feels like Sid Meier's Pirates. It's pretty fun. Tools also have 100% increase in durability, and things like hoes, hammers, and cultivators do not use stamina whatsoever. I thought that these general utility tools using a ton of stamina and the durability and stuff like that, it's just ridiculous. So I increased those durabilities a lot as well, and I'll say that again in a second. And I also decreased the stamina usage to 0. Armor was increased by 10% across the board. Items on the ground despawn 3% faster to help with lower FPS drops. I think I already said that. Your new default carry weight is 800, which originally I think was 300. And the only way to get an increase was the belt, but I also changed it so that the belt gives you 350 instead of 150. Camera shake has been disabled to allow for, you know, better view of things, not be so disoriented. Being a strong Viking, your fish should be pretty amazing, right? So what I did is I actually max, whenever you have max unarmed skill, your average damage goes up to 50, and that lowers depending upon your skill all the way down. Like right about now I do about 12, which actually would have been the max at 100 unarmed before, so I do about 12 damage down at the bottom as the beginning with, and this is a brand new character, brand new world, everything like that. All stamina using mechanics have been reduced by 10%, and sneaking and being encumbered do not use stamina. I thought it was kind of stupid that if you're encumbered you literally just can't move. I understand the slow movement and stuff like that, but whenever your stamina hits you literally can't move, and while you're encumbered you don't gain stamina. I thought that was a ridiculous mechanic. Doesn't make sense. Again, a time sink. And by time sink, let me just say, anything that is just there to waste your time. It doesn't do anything for progression or anything like that. It's just there to use up time. It doesn't really make sense beyond that. And then again, that's my personal belief, and all these configs can be changed, which I'll talk again about later. You don't have to worry about your ceiling caving in again, because now you can place freely. The stability system is pretty broken right now, so this is just a fix until the devs can make it better. And by that I mean, like, you'll be building and have one floor, literally just one floor, couple high, and your walls will just cave in. Your walls themselves will cave in, your roof will cave in, everything. Things will fall apart in your base, you'll lose items. It's a weird issue with the stability and building system in the game right now, so this just makes it to where none of that happens. So it's very useful. And again, if the game ever gets fixed and I continue working on this mod pack, I will be removing that, because, you know, if the stability system works, what's the point in that? Then you just have floating castles, which is cool, but whatever. Now let's go on to wagons aren't so dang heavy anymore, and I reduced the wagon weight because it seems like moving wagons around was really difficult unless you had high stats. I think that moving an empty wagon around should not be so hard. This guy's annoying me. I see 12 damage is my base for unarmed. So I made it so that the wagons aren't so heavy and you can actually move them around. They obviously get heavier with the more weight that you put in them, but a base empty wagon is not so ridiculously hard to move around, because it is just one big chunk of wood on wheels, so it shouldn't be that difficult. All inventory sizes have been increased. That's not really visible here because of, again, an issue with Valheim Plus right now, but that will be updated probably by the time I'm done recording this video. Lastly, when you take something in your inventory, it will no longer pop it on the bottom by default. Also, still not true. None of the inventory changes have been made. All right, now the second thing I want to showcase is a few mods that I consider to be utility primarily, meaning it changes gameplay at a fundamental level. And so that's what I mean by utility, is like things that you wouldn't normally interact with. They're kind of in the background, or they're just a side mechanic to something in the game. So I consider those to be utility, and we're going to go ahead and look at all the utility mods now. I'm just going to go ahead and minimize this. We'll pull up the utility mod section. So again, I'm just going to list all these and give the brief description that the mod developer themselves gives, and I'll go ahead and show you what each one does. So quick connect, can't really show you that though. Actually no, I can. Let's go ahead and go back to the main menu. Quick Connect's pretty cool. Adds a quick connect window with a configurable list of servers. No more dealing with Steam's buggy features window and entering passwords twice. So as you can see here, we have this thing. There's a config file, so you can change, you know, however many, and you can even have like a ton of folders. You could change it so it automatically puts in the password, everything like that. Super useful. So you just come to the homepage, click, automatically connects. It's really nice. The Nexus update checks, and that's this here. It will automatically give you a thing here. So again, if you guys want to just update the mod yourselves, not wait for me to do the whole pack, you can just click visit and go and do the whole thing that it says to do on the Nexus. There are 2 mods on here, or 1 from the Thunder website, not Nexus, and that is because I could not find them on Nexus. So yeah, we'll look at those as well. The custom textures, this is kind of just a texture pack that, or a texture pack, a mod that allows you as a modder to change things. So if you wanted to change stuff yourself, if you really like art and you want to change how things are, you could actually use this to do that yourself. And then I needed that to be able to use the custom banners, which is really cool because again, the banners file isn't that easy to find. This mod makes it so the banners file is right in a nice folder for you to look at, and you can make all the banners in the game your own like banner. It's pretty cool. You can put your logo on there maybe if you're streaming the game, and it's just really cool. It's just really simple and easy. I don't know how else to put it. Then there's terrain tools. This is a debugging thing that allows you to see whenever multiple terrain changes are on one chunk. So if it has been lowered or raised as well as been flattened, that actually creates lag because it counts as multiple entities rather than one, which is again another issue with the devs, and this is just a mod that helps fix that. It doesn't fix it per se, but it allows you to see through coloring the multiple changes to that part of the terrain and allows you to fix that. So you can use this to reset that area and then, you know, either flatten it or lower it, whatever you needed to do in the first place. Then there's the better UI. Changes a couple things to put stars instead of numbers next to things, so it looks kind of cool, so you know what like grade they are. Changes the looks of a couple of the UI to just be a little bit cleaner and more interesting and out of the way. And then that goes hand in hand with another mod, which is minimal status effects, and that changes all the status effects like wet, fire, rested, foods, all that stuff to the bottom of your minimap rather than the entire top of your screen. And now there is movable chest inventory panel that allows you to move your inventory. And while I'm going through this, I'm going to go ahead and go back into the test world. So this is really useful because we do have bigger inventory sizes, and so everything doesn't fit so neatly on the screen by default. You have to move things around with your mouse, and you just use control and then move the inventory around, but it is only for the chest inventory panel, not your regular stuff. Then we have useful trophies. This one I had contemplated putting it in items, but it is more of something that's in the background. So as you probably know if you played the game enough, you get a ton of like boar trophies, grayling trophies, stuff like that you just never use, and you end up with stacks of them, and I mean stacks of them. And what this allows you to do is actually eat the trophies, and the trophies give you a tiny bit of XP, not a full level in any skill, but just a little bit of XP in a random skill. And this is very, very useful because you have tons of those boar trophies. And actually what's really cool is the lower level the enemy and the enemy type, the lower the amount of XP you get, but then the higher you get more. It also comes with a really cool part of the mod where that I've enabled. You can have it disabled or enabled, where if you eat a boss trophy, because maybe you kill the bosses multiple times for fun or whatever, because they do get more difficult as you kill them over and over again. If you eat a boss trophy, it'll actually reset your boss cooldown by default, but I have it changed to where it doesn't do that. if you eat a boss trophy, it gives you that boss's power. So if I have like 2 or 3 modder trophies in my inventory and I want to use Yagluth's power because I want protection, but I'm sailing around, then I could just eat a modder trophy and there we go, I got the modder power for a little bit. It's pretty cool. And then there is the use equipment and water. See, normally I think it sucks if you're building a little on an island or building a bridge or whatever, or something like that, or building in the water at all. You can't use your hammer in the water. So this changes that, allows you to use stuff in the water as well as attack enemies with your weapons and stuff like that. It is a little buggy. Last time I checked, you have to have the item in your hand before you enter the water. Not while you're in the water can you pull it into your hand. So if you want to use a weapon or something like that, or even use the hammer while you're in the water, you have to have it in your hand beforehand. No pun intended. And then interact while building. This is really cool. So if I pull out a hammer, excuse me. Oops. If I pull out a hammer, normally you wouldn't be able to do anything while the hammer is in your hand. But this allows me to actually go into boxes and, you know, use beehives, fermenters, whatever, while the hammer is in my hand, and open doors, which is the biggest part, because for some reason, whenever you're building, your doors are always closed and you can't open them, so you have to put it away. Maybe you accidentally lose the twisting of the thing, the rotation, and you got to pull it back out, and it just really sucks. So yeah, these are just things that are utility kind of background, and then there's the instant monster loot drop, so you don't have to wait 30 seconds for a monster to drop their loot anymore and poof out of existence. Prevents accidental interaction, so this is really cool. See, if we go here, it says no touch, and I'm spamming F, which is my use key. By default it's E. What you have to do to now use portals and item stands, because maybe you accidentally pull stuff off your item stand or you don't want to change your stuff, or change what the name of your portal is, you have to crouch and then use it. So yeah, that's just a really cool thing, another quality of life thing. And then there is Locator. This is really cool. You can kind of see some of the pins already on my thing, but if I go look at this dandelion, it automatically puts that on my thing. And that is because these do respawn in this area, as well as bushes with berries, and then also helps you, you know, if you run across a copper ore while you're running for your life through the Black Forest, and maybe you want to go back for that later, it'll mark it on your map, so you'll have that. So that's really cool. Floating items, sadly a lot of things just drop into the abyss of the ocean, and one of the most annoying things is whenever you're hunting sea serpents and maybe you want to get that trophy or those skills and you don't want to pull that sea serpent a million miles on the land to be able to kill it, so this makes everything in the game float, so it's really useful. Don't lose your items in the water anymore. Linked wagons, now this one's really cool. You ever wanted a train in Valheim? You ever thought it was stupid that you could only have just a couple items in one cart? Look no more. Go ahead and use a cart, then go to the back of a cart, press the use key, and then go to the front of the line, and now you have a little train of carts. You can hook up to 4. They do take damage, and however, this is very alpha mod. It's just really nice to be able to run around like this. It's pretty cool. Allows you to just carry a bunch of stuff with you. Super awesome. And then there is the map sync. Now this one I can't really show you because I would need a friend to do this, but if you press F10 you can share your map information with people near you, and so if you discovered anything on the map, if you went on a journey while your friends are offline, you could show them what you discovered on the map. And F11 is any pins, so if I found some stuff and I, you know, made a little pin like, oh man, there's a little base over here, and then I press F11 next to my buddy, he'll see those pins as well, so it's really cool. Server side map, this is really cool, and I'll just read the description of this verbatim. This plugin moves the map to the server side, meaning that when someone else is exploring your map, will be updated too. This applies while being offline. The server holds the explored map data in a new file, which is saved and loaded along with the worlds. It's really cool. So if I'm running around by myself and my buddies join up, and you know, they're brand new, they don't have to run around to see all the stuff that I've discovered. They join and they automatically get all that information. Now the reason I have both of these, again, is like I said, some may seem redundant, but the reason I have both of these mods is because map sync, server side map, sometimes it's a little buggy, and there's like, maybe you'll have traveled like a long distance, and like, see, like here, for some reason this isn't here, and that might you know, maybe there's like a circle here and there's just a little bit of gray there, even though you ran that distance. Sometimes that's what happens on server side. But if I use map sync, it clears it up, makes all the, you know, sections better, stuff like that. Now there is minimal status effects, which we talked about. It's pretty cool. And then this last one is kind of weird. This is something you can probably just do without, and I would suggest not telling anyone in your game about it if you don't want, you know, people cheating and stuff like that. But this is just really useful for admins of servers, and it's called SK Toolbox. As you saw, I removed the cost to make anything with a just simple command. You can do that by pressing F5 and going into your console as well, so people don't see you typing that stuff. But it's just useful because if you run a server and you want to kick someone, that's the only way to right now, sadly. There are no like default things for that on the game, so it really sucks. Yeah, so that is all the utility stuff. And now let's go ahead and show you guys the really small list, but its uses are vast, the portals list. And I'll go ahead and show you guys that right now. Sorry, I don't know why this is acting dumb. So this one, we only have 3 mods. Now again, the ability to teleport with metal, you could consider that a portal mod, but that's part of the Valheim Plus stuff. But for portals, we have any portal, teleport wolves, and teleport wagon. That, you know, those last 2 may be pretty simple. Normally you can't teleport any tamed animals. You have to take them physically back to your house, which can really suck if you're trying to get wolves back to your house to protect your stuff. So yeah, this allows you to teleport up to 4 wolves at a time through portals, which is really cool, and the wagons as well, which is pretty cool. And then this other one, which is really, really awesome, and this is coming from someone who has had buildings, entire massive buildings dedicated to portal rooms. This is so helpful to me. If anything, this is one of my top 5, if not top 3. It's called Any Portal, and Any Portal is really cool because what it does is it removes the tag-based pairing system. So what you do is you just name your portal whatever you want it to, and I used to have codes to indicate if it went back to my house or a different place. So now I could finally just be like, yay, I could name this Modder, and this one Yagluth, and this one Bone Mass, and this one Mountains, like, and it's really cool. So what this does is it makes it where you can use any portal to go to any portal, and it's super useful. So you can have one portal at home and one portal at all your other bases and one portal all the locations you want to go to. You don't have to have 40 goddamn portals. So as you can see, we have the south portal here, and if I wanted to, I could just go right up to the spawn. Just select that from the drop down menu. And then we just teleport right over here. And, you know, this isn't even connected to anything. Why don't we go ahead and go to the north portal? So that south portal is connected here, but this one is connected to the north. It's really useful. Just, again, I just want to reduce time sinks and also make the game run better. If you have 40,000 portals like I used to, then you know that it's a ton of FPS drops. So having one portal in your base is really nice. So yeah, that's all the portals, and I'm gonna go ahead and exit out of that now. And then let's go ahead and I want to showcase you guys some of the mods that add or change crafted mechanics and recipes. So it adds mechanics to crafting and stations and stuff like that, and anything in that general category, as well as adds new crafting recipes. You may have noticed on my bar that I have brass knuckles. So let's just go ahead and go through the mod list real quick and I'll show you everything. Jam, really cool. Add several new types of jam recipes to the game. As you can see, we have all these down here. We have raspberry jam and honey sweetened. So the honey sweetened stuff is just slightly better. It's really cool, and it just adds a bunch of, you know, unique types of food that don't actually take a ton to make. So it's really nice. If you just have a whole bunch of berries, you could just make whatever you want. It's really nice. It makes use of, you know, food more. Just adds more recipes. Doesn't change much about the game. Just nice. Really cool. And then we have auto fuel. Automatically pulls fuel and ore from kilns and smelters. So if we go ahead and add some wood real quick. See, it was too fast. It automatically pulled it into the charcoal kiln, and then if we just wait a couple seconds, we'll see the coal is going to automatically get pulled off the ground from the kiln into the blast furnace. So that's really awesome. It just again makes, you know, time sinks. You don't have to go around, pick up everything, and then press F 1,000 times to put it in. Another really cool thing that is actually possible, let me just, I'm not sure, just make this real fast. We'll go ahead and chop this down. All right. There we go. Oh man, we only got a little bit of wood. What the heck? There we go. So as you can see, we have 7 wood. And normally, you know, E or F, whatever your use key is, you can walk up to something and just press it once, puts one in. What's really cool is we have a mod that if you hold shift and then press it, it puts it all in. So everything that can go in, and this works on literally everything, to your windmills and your spinning wheels, sorry, forgot the name, and both of your types of furnaces. So it's really nice. And then blast furnace all ores is really cool. So I always thought before I actually got one that the blast furnace was going to make use of all ores and maybe just be faster, because I knew that you need the blast furnace to smelt the black iron stuff. But it's kind of weird that only one item in the game right now is used for another crafting station in the entire game, and it takes up all this space, and then you can't do anything else with it. So there's a really cool mod that makes it to where you can just put iron in there, and coal, or not coal, sorry, and copper and tin. So it's really nice. It just whenever you have a blast furnace, it obsoletes your actual smelter, which is cool. That's how it should be, in my opinion. Again, small changes to the game that the modding community just made to make the game make more sense and make it better. Then there's the mining mod. Now this is there's a lot of tweaks I made personally, so you guys might want to check out the config file for the mining mod as well. But this just makes it to where you do a little bit more damage with pickaxes. It makes it to where you get a little bit more ore from certain things that don't give you more ore. Again, just balance, and I changed it and tweaked it a little bit myself from the default. It was actually a little overpowered by default, so I changed that myself. But it also makes it really cool, and this is kind of like Skyrim. If you've ever played Skyrim, whenever you're mining, you have a chance of getting gems. So you have a chance of getting rubies and amber pearls and stuff like that while mining. Really small chance, but just kind of cool. If you know you're mining one day, so, oh hey, look at that, and I got like 20 gold worth of stuff in my inventory that I can just go give to the trader real fast. Pretty nice. And then there's triple bronze. Now, for some reason in the world of Valheim, the law of conservation of mass does not exist. Why do I use 2 tin bars and a copper bar to make a singular similar sized bronze bar? That doesn't make sense. Where did the rest of that mass go? It didn't just poof into the abyss. So this makes it to where whenever you're making bronze, it actually makes 3 bars instead of 1, because, you know, the law of conservation of mass. It's just weird, okay? And then this is add all fuel and ore for smelter. That's the one that I showed you, the shift button. And then this one is specifically for inventories and chests and stuff right here. Again, this is crafting everything, but I wanted to put this in different sections. We have quick stack. Quick stack's really cool. So I'll go ahead and show you if I go into this box right here. And we, you know, take out 14 rocks. We have 14 here, 14 here, and then I press my back what's called the back quote key, tilde key, or the squiggly little one next to your 1. That will go ahead and stack everything in your inventory that can go into a local box. As you see, we got all that in there, as well as some dandelions I think I had. Really nice. And then we also have the drop one. So if I again take this and then I drop it on the ground, automatically gets stacked in. So it's really nice if you just, you know, have stuff going on. And that also works with other things like carts. So if you're mining, just go ahead and, you know, first rock you break, throw your copper into your cart, and then while you're mining, everything will get thrown in your cart. You won't have to take the time, again, time sink, of just switching stuff to the inventory. why not have a mod that just does it for you? Then it, you know, you can just focus on actually playing the game rather than pressing your F key. And then there is the auto store, which you just saw, and Jeeves the repair bot. This is really cool. So if I have, you know, my axe here and I go into the forge, it'll automatically repair everything. And then if I go into my workbench, automatically repair everything. It's really nice. Just makes it to where, again, you don't have to click 1,000 times and waste your time. Time sink. Now this one is for, these are for planting, these last ones. We have crop replant, which is pretty cool. So I can't really show you that because I couldn't like take the time to wait for a plant to grow. But if you have, like, let's say a carrot, and then you have the cultivator in your inventory and a seed in your inventory, or, you know, because we have the mod where stuff comes from the boxes, then you have the seed in a box somewhere. You go up to it and you just click it, you get that carrot, it'll automatically plant right where that carrot was a new seed, which is super nice. Again, time sinks. Just makes everything a lot less tedious. And then there's berry planting, which allows you to plant berry bushes, mushrooms, and thistle and dandelion, which all also respawn. So they're just like normal plants. It's really cool. And then the plant mod changes a ton of stuff, but a lot of it I disabled, like the growth time decrease and the space requirement and stuff like that. So mainly all I use it for is the ability to plant flax and barley and cloudberries outside of their biomes. So in the meadows, for instance. So it's really nice. And then lastly, out of the crafting stuff, we have the what's called Valheim Brawler, and this adds in level-based stuff, you know, just because, like, you know, we have the iron and the bronze and all that stuff for everything else. We also have them now for cessuses, as I said before, you know, the little brass knuckles, and you could start off literally making well, I'll turn off no cost, but you can make this twig one, or the sprig, literally without a crafting bench. So it allows you to make a nice little weapon in place of the club that you normally would make without a crafting bench. And then once you get a crafting bench, you can go ahead and make your bone studded knuckles. Uses a couple bones and some deer hide, I think. Let me see. So yeah, we got just 4 wood for the sprig, 5 deer hide and 4 bone fragments, and then the bronze one is 4 deer hide and 8 bronze. The iron cessus is 20 iron, like every other weapon, and 4 deer hide. And then the silver one is a wolf trophy, which makes it actually a little bit more difficult to make than most silver weapons. 8 deer hide and 20 silver. And then the black metal cessus is 20 black metal, 5 deer hide, a chain, and 5 linen thread, which is on, you know, all those are on par with everything else, but even maybe a little bit more difficult or unreasonable. And again, so it's just to make the game, you know, balanced. Then that mod also has the ability to make chains, because for some reason you can't make chains. The only way to get them is from the wraiths, and it's so weird to me. And then, I mean, the chest inside the swamp, but that's fine. So it allows you to make chains to use in crafting, which is really cool. And that is the last of the crafting stuff. Lastly, I want to go ahead and show you guys all the mods that change your character and how they interact with the screen or the world. I found that these changes are the ones that you'll be seeing the most, so I'm having them at the end and in a single section, because they're the ones, again, that just you're really gonna obviously notice. So for the character ones, we only have a couple, but they're really nice. First off, most important one is first person view. Using your scroll wheel, you could zoom all the way in to first person, and it is actually a working first person. It's really nice. So yeah, it's really cool. And then the equipment and quick slots is this, as we saw before. It takes all of the things out of your inventory that you would normally have equipped and puts them into their own thing. And then things like food you can have on these extra little bars here for Z, V, and B, and you could change those keys to anything that you would like in the config file as well. Oh, and I think there's one thing I listed but didn't show you guys. There's a fermenter timer now. Oh, it says it's too exposed, but there's a timer that you'll see there on your little tooltip whenever you're fermenting stuff. And then disable equip animations. As you see, you don't have to wait that bajillion amount of time to put your gear on. Very useful. Again, just gets rid of time sinks. Combat stance is pretty cool. Whenever you have a weapon or something in your hand, you automatically turn with your mouse. This is because parrying is really useful and important in the game, and for some reason whenever you're turning, like, you have to have the parry actually aimed at the enemy, unlike Dark Souls where you could just parry with your back because you're a badass. So this makes it to where, you know, you aren't always turned away from the enemy that you're looking at. And then there's skillful. Skillful is pretty cool. It makes it to where certain skills just do better stuff. So your carrying capacity is increased with your running skill, and your sneak speed is increased with your sneak skill. And then that also goes up. So like the base sneak speed is increased just a little bit, and then the actual sneak speed is increased with more levels, and it's pretty cool. Also, one of the things that I changed on Valheim Plus is I made it to where sneaking, as I said, doesn't take any stamina. So this ends up actually becoming really viable, especially if your sneak level goes up enough. Sneaking is very useful in the game at higher levels, and with these mods it makes it even more viable. Just, you know, really entertaining. I think that's pretty much it that I wanted to show you guys. Did I have anything out to show you? No, I don't think I did. There's increased distances on the workbench, and I think that's just about it. Again, you guys can check out the config files, check out all the mod websites and everything to see all that stuff. Just really nice. Just, again, this whole mod is just to change the game to be less tedious, less timely, or time sinky, so that you're more focused on the actual mechanics of the game rather than pressing one button 1,000 times. I just wanted to go ahead and say here at the end that many of these mods, again, have config files that I've tweaked to meet my standards of gameplay. You may not have the same standards of gameplay. So you can go change those at will, and you can go check out the mod websites as well, like I said. I may not talk about all those changes in depth other than Valheim Plus, because Valheim Plus is just insane, so I thought it'd be really cool to just list off all the changes I made and all the changes that's possible. You can go view on Valheim as well, Valheim Plus on the Nexus. If you want to know what everything does, just, you know, I suggest go checking out all that stuff. But yeah, again, the download is going to be down below, and in the readme is going to be everything that I've just said here pretty much. All the mod descriptions along with sections for them, and all the download pages and all that stuff. So yeah, go check those out. It's gonna be really useful. I have probably a very different way that I feel this game should be than you guys, but I guarantee that a majority of these mods are going to be useful to the general public and wanted by the general public, because they're changes that just make the game more entertaining. They're changes that add more to the game and reduce the amount of time that you just sink into useless, monotonous activity. I want to go fight bosses. I want to go, mine, but not spend 1,000 hours mining. And I want to do all that stuff, all the wood cutting, everything. But I just don't want it to be so difficult and so ridiculous. So yeah, game's not super easy, but just less tedious. So yeah, again, this has been Grandma Jesus for the Heldic Hals mod pack. And I hope you guys are enjoying the game, because I am. Goodbye.